Okay. Based on the feedback from the English team's visit across all campuses, one of the things that was identified by SCCs and the English department in general was a lack of clarity with goals or learning objectives. So, in this teacher development session, that's what we're going to cover, and we're going to look at helping anybody that was identified as having a weakness and moving them up a little bit. So we're going to go over goals and objectives, and we're going to go over how it helps delivery. Now, I know a lot of us, we've got 10, 20, 30, 40 years of teaching experience. You've heard all about goals and objectives before. So this is going to be really a recap and a clarification. I'm not going to present any groundbreaking new revolutionary ideas, but it will be hopefully helpful. So, on the observation rubric, a lot of people fell into the below expectation category for one simple reason. Their learning objectives, their lesson objectives, were something akin to this. Present simple, review Unit 5, understand should and shouldn't. Now, the first word in that box here, or the first sentence, the lesson objectives are not SMART. If you have a goal or an objective like this, you will immediately fall into that box. There's nothing we can do about that because all of the other sentences relate to the objective. If your objective is present simple, it's not specific enough. The lesson is effectively structured to meet the objective. Well, we don't know the objective because it's not specific, so we can't say that we met the objective. The objectives are in line with the curriculum. Well, present simple is a topic on the curriculum, but the objective is not clear, is not specific. So this was identified as a huge problem that impacted teachers in the planning stage, but also impacted delivery later on. So, the other word you will notice here a lot is SMART objective, not SMART objective. If you don't know what SMART means, I suggest you go and Google it. I think you've all covered this one before. I'm going to spend zero time talking about it. Your responsibility, if you don't know, is to go and find out. So, let us start by creating a common language. Like I say, if you've worked in TEFL for any number of years in different organizations with different managers, you will have heard the word goals, objectives, targets, aims, outcomes so many times, and they get thrown around kind of interchangeably. Already in this presentation, I've used goals and objectives at least 5 times, and the lines between them become blurred, and so we're going to just have a little moment to clarify. Okay, clarify from the perspective of this presentation. So when I say goals, you know what I'm talking about. When I say objectives, you know what I'm talking about. If you think they're the same thing, I will also clarify that in my opinion, and based on some articles I read before this, just to confirm my opinion, they are slightly different. So, goals, the word that kept coming up when I was researching goals is that they're usually higher order skills, or they're usually more long-term, and honestly, let's just simplify it. Goals are bigger. The ultimate goal for our students is to get MSAT 875. That goal is the final destination or the end point. Right? We can't use that goal every day to guide our teaching. It's too big, it's too broad, it's too ambitious at times. So the goal is the big picture. The objective is the sort of measurable step that allows us to get to the goal. So, again, if I talk about a non-teaching example, if my goal is to run a marathon, maybe my first objective is to run twice a week. My second objective is to run 5 kilometers. My third objective is to run 10 kilometers without dying. It's the steps that allow you to reach the goal, okay? So goals, big picture, objectives, the steps. And so if we put that in our context now, teaching, English, foundation, goals are something we want our students to produce or achieve in the longer term. And by longer term, I maybe mean by the end of the week, by the end of the unit. And the objectives are the little things we're going to do every day to get them to that bigger goal, that longer term goal. So every week, well, when I was teaching, every week I kind of had a goal, a target, something to work towards. And I also had little things that I needed to do every day to get to that goal. So if we go back to this one here, present simple, I don't know if this is a goal or an objective because it's very broad, very, very broad, in fact. I mean, they study present simple in starter, elementary, pre-intermediate, intermediate, upper intermediate. There's not enough definition here to work with. If I was teaching probably stage 2, but this could be adapted, and I was teaching present simple, my goal might be something like, by the end of the week, students will be able to produce a short paragraph describing their daily routine using present simple and the vocabulary from Unit 3, which is everyday activities. So this, I think, is a relatively achievable, measurable, specific, realistic goal for the week. And it's time-based. So I didn't talk about SMART goals, but this hits most of those targets. Could it be more specific? Yes, but there you go. Good thing about this goal, also it doubles up as a portfolio task. So I've kind of killed 2 birds with 1 stone. And ultimately, if at the end of the week, you've taken your students from not being able to do this through some objectives, and now they can do this, you can go home feeling good because you've done a good job. You can clearly say learning has taken place because they've achieved that end goal. I feel like there should be questions and answers, but because it's a video, I'm just going to move on. Now, if this is my goal, to get to this goal, and again, of course, you're all teachers, you know this, lots of little things have to happen before we get to that goal. Presentation of grammar, practice, error correction, feedback, blah, 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 blah. Right? There's a lot of stuff that go in there. And to make sure we achieve that, we need to plan, scaffold, support the learner, get them to the end point. Now, I'm going to go off on a tangent here, but this is where Bloom's taxonomy comes in. And if you're anything like me, every PD session I've sat in and listened to Bloom's taxonomy, my eyes have rolled to the back of my head and I've been like, oh my God, not again. I've heard this 100 times. But honestly, for the last 10 years, I had an absolutely terrible understanding of Bloom's taxonomy. It had been presented to me in the past as, in short, a list of words to put on your lesson plan. Nobody had actually explained the logic behind it to me. It was just, yeah, when you do lesson plans, make sure you use these words. Make sure your objectives use Bloom's taxonomy, with no understanding of its actual purpose or its actual use. So I will spend 2 minutes going over that with you, and then we will be done after that. So yes, Bloom's taxonomy is a lot of words we use for lesson planning and for objectives. But that is not the purpose of it. The goal that we set about present simple comes here at the top of the pyramid. Okay, write a paragraph about daily routine. You could say author a paragraph if you want. You could say create a paragraph or a PowerPoint. But that goal is kind of the final step, the production, the make something new with the language you've learned. For them to get to this step, they have to move up through the pyramid, through the ladder to get there. You can't go from, repeating the daily vocabulary straight to the production. You have to scaffold, you have to build, and you have to go through each of these steps. Maybe once, maybe twice. You won't just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yay, production. You might end up going 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2 again, 3, 4. It's not a linear progression. Your teaching should move around depending on the students, but ultimately, your goal for the week is to move from the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid with your production work. So this one, end of the week, students will be able to produce a paragraph. Many things need to happen first, like we said. In short, they need to climb the pyramid. For this example, I think these goals would be probably sufficient to allow the student to get to that final stage. And this is kind of based off a weekly plan I used to use. Maybe on the Monday, I'd give them some example sentences and I'd just get them to identify the verbs in each of these sentences. Right? We're starting at the beginning. What's the verb in this sentence? Done. Starting to get that grammar knowledge of subject-verb building. They know which ones go together. I might present the routine activities and do some memory testing and a spelling test. I then start to present my grammar. We'd look at different sentences, positive, negative questions, and we'd build and we'd build. They then might start to, if they use Blackboard, do some sentence jumbles or rewrite some sentences, change them from positive to negative, change them from negative to questions, and then slowly working with the grammar. They might write some sentences with some prompts. Then they might start analyzing some sentences, finding the mistakes. They might look at a model paragraph, and then they might finally evaluate that and then move on to using their own paragraph with all of the knowledge they've gained climbing up the pyramid. So Bloom's taxonomy is like a journey from the bottom to the top. I think if a stage 2 student during the course of a week, maybe Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, did all of these things, at the end of the week, the majority of the students would have an acceptable paragraph. I'm not going to go for differentiated goals yet, but I think that would help students achieve. And I think it would help teachers deliver in a much more targeted way for the students. So, how does this improve delivery? Well, this is kind of the summary. I'm just repeating myself at this stage. We have a clear goal that we have to achieve. We have something to work towards. The objectives provide us with a roadmap. So we think of the goal first, we work back from the goal, and we make the journey to our destination. It also gives you plenty of chance to course correct, to take action if they're not understanding. Then you can repeat an objective, you can change an objective that still allows you to reach the goal. Worst case scenario, you might have to adapt and simplify the goal, but you've got plenty of chances to take action. It's also good because it brings a balance between practice and production. Like most of your restricted practice, your controlled practice is coming down here. This is kind of freer practice, and then this is the production, the full free practice. So if we follow this during a week, the students will get a fair balance of practice and production. And yeah, ultimately, if your classes have been successful during the week, your students will be able to achieve, and it will be a good feeling for you, a good feeling for them. I think students will feel like they're going in the right direction, rather than what sometimes they just feel like they're progressing through the book with no particular purpose in mind. Yeah. Oh, almost 15 minutes. I overshot it by 1 minute. In conclusion, goals give your lessons direction and purpose. Objectives are the tangible steps that allow you to work towards the goal. And the last point, which I haven't said yet, but I'm going to rush this point now. Goals should be defined by you as the teacher, not by the ebook. Yeah? The ebook is just there to help you meet the objectives to reach the goal. If we're talking about present simple, my activity was that paragraph about routine. Someone else's activity might be, I've seen people do the survey about routine, so they write the questions and they write up the answers. That's another excellent goal. To get to that goal, you probably need to follow the same steps. So the goal is set by the teacher. The objectives are set by you in address of what the students need, and the ebook is there to support that process. But the ebook shouldn't be the roadmap. It shouldn't be defining everything, because although there's some really good stuff in the ebook, it doesn't necessarily hit everything you need to hit to get you to that final goal. Okay, that's enough from me. I hope you stayed awake for most of this. If you have questions, if you have feedback, if you have comments, let me know. Send me an email, or not just send me an email, or stop by my office. I will catch you later. Thank you for watching.